Do you hear it?
I don't hear music. No.
You don't hear.
Okay.
And now?
Là, il est fermé. Là.
Can you hear it now?
Very. No.
C'est bizarre.
Quoi?
No change, Rahal? Can you? That's weird. I don't know how to fix this.
So he said.
Okay, well let's just run with it. C'est bon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do-do-do-do.
Chanson thème.
Ben, bonjour. Morning, everybody.
Oh, regarde la caméra encore.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Oh, regarde-la. Je sais pas, on dirait que t'as une face de Peter Weller.
C'est gentil.
Robocop. J'ai vu... faut switcher en anglais, hein?
Yeah, let's speak in English.
Saw a meme yesterday. It's a remake of Thomas the Train, but it's Peter Weller's face on Thomas the Train.
Where is it?
The guy that did RoboCop. You know, just his face. Murphy. The guy that did RoboCop.
I'm so bad with celebrities and
I just
movies
know
and
'cause
stuff
I
like
looked
that,
it
man.
up.
Like, you guys can probably pop a bunch of names, and I would have no idea who you're talking about.
We got it. Cool.
But it is a good book, though. Like, it's I find it the information that he provides, he expands on them so much, and then he'll like talk about something, and then he'll talk about something else. Then he'll go back to that one thing he mentioned. Like you have to really read it. This is the second time I actually read this book, and I learned more in the second time than the first time. Obviously, it's normal, but you start seeing his just the way he writes books. It's pretty cool. I like Malcolm Gladwell. He's a great author, man. He just talks a lot. He writes a lot.
It's a good book, but like most of the other books, the part 3 or the last part of the review is always like it's starting to repeat itself a lot. And like from what I've learned in the last few chapters, there wasn't much new information.
Well, that suicide information was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just a different case study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I find it very fascinating how after there's a suicide, there's like a ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like more suicides start happening, and after there's like a massacre, it's like we go through a phase where there's a massacre, and then there's like 10 massacres in a row, and then it calms down for like 10 years.
Yeah,
it's because they advertise it, and then it gives other people the idea.
So
following.
I like the new trend in the news. That when there's a mass shooter, they don't talk about him that much. There's a lot of online news providers like Philip DeFranco.
Yep.
I don't know if you know him.
Yes.
Yeah. Like whenever there's a mass shooting or there's some type of murderer on the run, like he never even says their name.
Because that's what they want.
He never shows their picture. He just says this piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then he moves on.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the way to.
I think that's a great way of doing it.
Yeah. And they're all going to be named pieces of shit.
But CNN doesn't do that.
No.
That's the thing. They advertise these people.
Yeah.
You know, they focus so much on the villain, and the villain love it.
Oh yeah.
Like, especially when there's like a terrorist attack.
And people love it.
The people, of course.
They eat that shit up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
People like that. They don't like what happened. They don't like the consequences, but they like the freak mindset of these people.
Yeah.
Because you can, man. I personally, I think people are bored.
Yeah.
Okay, I think a lot of people are actually bored, and they are so consumed by their phones and and because there's no more any challenges. Like, what's the challenge of an everyday life now? It had completely shifted from going to do groceries to just ordering the groceries online. You know, Netflix, you don't have to wait for the next episode anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Life is too easy.
It's way too easy. It's too convenient, and because of that, we're so used to it now that the smallest effort to do something becomes an inconvenient. You become stressed out, and you don't like it anymore, and you're bored. You're bored, man.
That's true. Very true. I don't know how to start this part 3 of 3 because it's
Airwalk.
probably gonna repeat itself a little bit. But
I think we touched on it a bit, right?
Yeah.
With the mass murderer effect. Like when you see people do something, it sort of gives you permission to like do something similar. And I'm not talking about mass murdering, but like he says, like when you see somebody jaywalk right in front of you, you probably will start walking even if the red is, the light is still red, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing that.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
And those, I don't know that person.
Gives
in
you
front
the
of me.
okay to do
Often.
it.
I'm just like, oh, well, okay, this guy's walking, so I guess I'll walk.
Yeah.
And to go back to the suicide thing there, I know they were talking about some kid who tried it out. So they're not hanging themselves. They're tying the noose around their neck and like off a door frame or a poignée de porte. What is that? Like a doorknob?
Yeah.
Just leaning forward. This kid just wanted to try it. Kids were just trying it out. And, you know, some were dying because of that. Faint and just...
So I am gonna go back because I missed last week's book club. So it's only fair that I give my opinion on it. When they were talking about, you know, when they conducted this class, it's like a biblical study, and when they gave them a time frame to get to point B, and they saw somebody struggling on the way, they didn't stop for it. But when they didn't give them a time frame, the students stopped and helped
when they
out
told
the
them
old man.
Either they were told they were late or, oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That made the difference.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I find that pretty cool because we are so, especially in the Western world, we are so ambitious. And we talked about this, and I compared the Western world to Europe a lot, especially in Ireland. We are so much in a rush all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I was sitting at a bar. I ordered a Guinness, obviously.
Where was this? In Dublin?
In Dublin.
Oh, jeez.
And I was getting antsy. I'm like, man, I've been waiting 15 minutes for my Guinness. And then this guy was sitting there. No, my Guinness came right away, actually. But I waited like 25 minutes for my food. And I'm like, man, where's the food? The guy over there is like, you guys are not from here. Like, no. He's like, just relax.
Yeah.
It'll come.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
The food will come, man.
Yeah.
Just enjoy your Guinness, sit down,
Chill.
relax. We're not like that. So what I'm trying to say is we are so ambitious to get to this place on time. We are willing to ignore everything around us just to reach that goal. Right?
It does have its benefits, though, to be like that. Like yesterday, I had a client not close on a house because she showed up 3 hours late to her closing. And she's not Canadian. You just...
To the lawyer's office?
Yeah, to
Okay.
the lawyer's office. And then she was wondering why he couldn't continue with the closing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this society, is built around like punctuality and
Timing.
timing.
Timing
Yeah.
is so important.
But I
That's very
guess
true.
if we do tie it back into the book, like if we see people arriving late, then the next time we meet up with them, we won't be stressed out about being on time,
Right.
right? It's like a social contract.
Yes.
That if I'm meeting up with Rami and Rami's always there waiting for me, I'm always there on time. We sort of have this social contract.
Right. Exactly.
But, you know, if I'm meeting my folks somewhere, I sort of know that my folks are always 15, 20 minutes late wherever they show
So
up.
there's no rush.
There's
Is that
no
where you
rush.
take it from?
Yeah, probably.
Not for appointments. That you're good. That's not what I mean.
That's the thing, yeah. Like with Chris, I'm guilty of
Always being late.
always being late to social appointments.
Yeah.
If I have a real estate appointment,
Of course.
I'll be on time.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
But,
different
with
social
friends.
contract.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So-
Like I've been late to a few appointments because I've scheduled them too tight.
Don't you feel that you start panicking and like?
Yes, I do.
I
100%.
feel sick when I'm late to
Me
go
too.
somewhere. I
It's
feel
not a good
sick.
feeling.
No.
But you always try to make it up to them and stuff like that. But it does leave a bad taste in their mouth. It's a bad impression. But at the end of the day, you're running late to an appointment, and you see an old lady that just got hit by a car. Like, what's more important, saving that old lady
You're gonna
or
stop.
getting
Yeah.
right? Like at the end of the day, you
The
have
car.
to stop. Like, forget the money at this point.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to stop,
Yeah.
right? But if you ignore it just to make it there, there's a problem with our society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what and that's what hit me the most about this book is that like if we're gonna ignore everything around us, no matter what's happening around us, just to be somewhere on time, to make that extra dollar,
Yeah.
it's a problem.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I find myself doing a lot of that stuff often. Like it's not like, listen, I'm not, if somebody's having a heart attack and I'm gonna try to stop,
Yes.
but like I'm sure everybody has done this. You've seen an accident right in front of you, and instead of stopping, you're just like, you
Depends
should've
how
drove
bad
on.
it is, right?
I
Let's
have
say let's say it's a little bumper.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about that. I was following traffic at about 120, and then the guy in front of me tapped his brakes, and I tapped mine, and the kid just looked up, saw my brakes, jammed on his brakes, and just started flipping around on the highway. He went around me, hit the car in front of me, and both cars went, and I just kept driving like 40 kilometers an hour. Holy shit. And kept going. I was driving to the office. I just remember seeing the whole thing in slow motion.
Oh, man.
Holy
And you didn't stop, eh?
No, I didn't stop. It's on the
Asshole.
highway.
I stopped once. I was on the 417 coming back from Embrum, going into Ottawa, and then this car just like zooms past me. Vroom, like it's freezing outside.
Yeah.
Full of black ice. Then the car starts to like spin around in front of me, hits the snowbank. It sort of ends up half in the snowbank.
Yeah.
I get out of my car, I start pushing the kid. He's all stunned, doesn't understand why he. Anyways, so I'm pushing the car, and then another guy stops by and he starts pushing the car with me, and then he looks at me. He's like, "Hey, you showed me a house a year ago," and then I ended up showing him another house, and I sold him a
nice.
house. So it's like instant karma.
Cool.
Yeah, in Castleman.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, like, I think accidents happen all the time, obviously, and it depends on how strong it is.
What your parents told you.
But
Ayo.
Another cool thing he talked about this book. Again, I'm going back to the chapters that I missed with you guys. That guy that killed the four guys that apparently tried to mug him.
Yeah.
And 6 years later, when he did it, he was idolized.
four guys.
Four guys, right? And he was, yes, he was idolized.
Mm-hmm.
But then 6 years later, because things have changed,
Society. Yeah.
society has changed, he was considered a racist.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about things like, back in the day when men, for example, were marrying for 13 to 14-year-olds,
Yeah.
right? People still live in that era.
Yeah.
We have changed because we've done more research, and it's in my opinion, it's extremely wrong to do it.
course.
But people have done it in the past,
Yeah.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Great Balls of Fire.
Goodness gracious.
right?
You seen that movie?
No.
Great
Yeah.
balls of fire.
His,
Yeah.
good
his
movie.
girlfriend or his wife is like 13 years old.
He's 22.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and he was like bigger than Elvis.
At that time.
And then when the world found out that he had married a 13-year-old, he just went like, and he stayed married to her for like 20 years.
But that's what I'm saying. So it was normal back then
Yeah.
with arranged marriages and all that stuff because it was a transaction between the families. That's what that's what marriage was. It was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
transaction between the families.
Hmm.
Love stories.
Yeah, the girl he married was his drummer's daughter.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
That's a good transaction there.
Yeah.
The drummer's like, all right, man.
Drummer lost.
I'll give
What
you-
did he get?
I'll give you my daughter.
He got fame and money and followed Jerry Lee Lewis around the world.
Now it's frowned upon. And now you look back at it.
Frowned
It'll
upon.
throw you in jail.
Now you look back at it and you're like, this is horrible.
It is.
But if it was back then, right? So it's the same thing, man. And I feel like we have such a hard time putting ourselves in those eras. Like when people were talking about, you know what's the best example actually? The Bible.
Go ahead.
The gruesome of the first Bible.
Yeah.
So not the New Testament, but the Old Testament.
Yes.
A lot of it is metaphors.
Of course.
And it's gruesome. Like
Of course.
it's really like, what the
Kill-
heck?
kill your-
Killers and this and that. And
Kill your son
yeah,
to prove your love.
exactly. So these are all metaphors basically. And when you read it, you have to really understand that. Listen, man, like back in the day, that's how. Back in the day, human lives were not valued the way they are now.
No.
And even in like the Quran, there's a lot of things in the, because there's only one, right? And there's a lot of things that they talk about, like the eye for an eye and all that BS, whatever it is. Like I don't know, I'm not a religious person, but when you read this book, you have to understand that this was written like in year 500.
You
Right?
saying that should be our next book for the book club?
No,
Ron?
I don't think so. But actually, it would be an interesting read.
Yeah.
But it's not.
I would be down for
That would be
one of
really-
those.
But I think the translation to English would be pretty
It'd be
tough.
bad.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be watered down, I think.
Yeah.
So anyways, but that book was written back in the day, and I think a lot of extremists still live the way they were living back in year 500 and 600 and 700.
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah. They're just not part of the social contract.
They haven't
anymore.
adjusted.
Yeah.
And the people that read the Quran, like, oh my God, look how gruesome this is, but they just don't realize that this is how life was back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That men used to have 3, 4, 5 women. Well, 4 or 5, whatever they have, right? Men used to have multiple women.
Or them.
Men with
Yeah.
multiple women?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you would want more than one.
Anyways, let's not make any jokes about that.
Yeah,
Here's
people might be offended.
we were talking about repetitiveness in the books we've been reading. The Dunbar Number came up again in this book. So our social surroundings
Yeah, the
shouldn't
150.
be more than 150. So the example that he gives in here, well, there's a few, but one that I found really interesting was the Gore-Tex company, Mr. Gore. So every building, every company building has 150 employees, 150 parking spots. Once he starts noticing people are parking on the grass or different spots, now it's time to add another building, another section to the company, another 150. No more than 150, because past that it's not as personal. I found that was pretty interesting.
That's
for,
really cool, yeah.
for a company.
And the fact that they don't have any titles.
That too. They're all not assistant, associates. Yeah.
That would be nice.
So even Malcolm tried to meet with one of the higher employees, and he never even spoke about how higher up he was. Had the same office, same business card, everything.
Remember when we grew up in Wendover, population was around 200.
Yeah.
We knew everybody.
Yeah.
And now I go back, and my parents have never left, but I can feel that because the village is now like 1,000 people, they are less tied in to even the people that they knew back in the day, just because the town has gotten so much bigger. People don't depend on each other the way they used to. But when it was a small town, man, we ran out of power. Me and my dad were driving around with our generator, just giving neighbors like a bit of power here, 30 minutes, you know.
Well, you remember Ice Storm 98, how
Yeah.
everyone just stuck together? That was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I wonder what
I like
what
that
happened
though.
today.
I like the
Smaller communities.
yeah. You know, I watched this show last night with Helen. It's called Shameless.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty good.
I don't think the point of this show was has anything to do with what I'm about to say. But what I noticed is that, you know, they're obviously, he's an alcoholic father, and the girl's taking care of everything.
Ellen DeGeneres?
No, Shameless.
Oh,
His wife.
sorry, I thought.
I was watching with my wife.
Sorry, I didn't know
No,
your
I
wife's name
was
was
not
Ellen.
watching a show with Ellen DeGeneres.
Okay, I thought it was.
That would have been cool though. I would love to if we can have a conversation with her, man. She seems really cool.
Let's have her on the podcast.
Yeah, let's invite her over.
Let's dance.
So anyway, so so part of that show, obviously they're poor and she has like multiple jobs, but she works at this like laundromat or whatever it is, and the lady of the laundromat, knowing that she's poor, she's like, hey, I made this tonight, I'm gonna bring it to you. So it's almost like the poor help the poor.
Yeah.
You know? And you see that with bums all the time. The bums, the homeless, they have that tight-knit community together. They all drink together, they all have fun together, and they all share with each other when they're not fighting with each other.
Yeah.
But they build this community, and it's really cool.
So have you watched Comedians in Cars Having Coffee? The one
Yes.
where Jerry
I've watched one or
Seinfeld
two, yeah.
is interviewing Eddie Murphy. They're driving around in a Porsche, I think it was. Anyways, and they spot a homeless person, and then Jerry says to, what's his name? I just said it.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy
Yeah.
says, you know what's funny about these two guys? So they're having a conversation, and you know one of them is giving the other one advice.
Yeah.
They're both homeless. And I thought that was pretty funny. Tied into what you were saying.
Yeah, it is, man.
I've had this weird idea about how to fix homelessness for a few years now, and we've spoken about it a few times.
You think it's an epidemic right now?
In Ottawa, it definitely is starting to grow fast. And we could see it with a lot of panhandling on street corners.
Yeah.
Instead of like pouring money into homeless shelters, what if you infiltrated homeless communities, right? With people that, you know, just like any informant would with a drug cartel or, you know, and you sort of start doing positive things, maybe like going to get a job or starting to clean up your act, but you're one of the community. And I would be interested to see how that would affect the community from within.
Oh, okay.
You know?
So you put like an actor in there.
Well,
An idea virus.
yeah, because remember how the crime rates in New York were epidemic, and then they started cleaning the streetcars.
Yeah.
And then people were like, "Oh well, it's so clean here, you know, I can't."
So
do
the
anything."
environment, you're talking about that environment effect.
Yeah. So
I like that. That's a great idea.
you know, if you take a small community, 12 homeless dudes, they're close buddies, and you infiltrate it with one, you know, secret homeless guy, and then this guy's like, "Oh, you know what, Frank, I'm gonna go get a job. You know, it's not gonna be much, but you know what, I'm gonna pay for my own apartment." And then he goes, and then he's like, "Well, fuck, Johnny got a job. Well, maybe I could." Or maybe infiltrating is not the honest way of doing it, because it is sort of like a hidden agenda. But what if instead of pouring into these buildings and all these programs, you just poured into this one promising person in the group, and then you started helping them, and then they could in turn help the other ones, and that would sort of tip the situation into a more favorable one.
I love the idea.
They are doing smaller things, easier things, and it's handing out like free haircuts every week or every second week.
Man,
So they go and get a haircut, get
That
a
helps.
shower.
you feel good when you get a fresh haircut.
No,
eh?
for sure. Like small changes, small victories, right?
Yeah.
Like,
New shoes,
yeah.
Especially if
why
you get a
not?
haircut once every 3 months.
for like me.
Yeah. You feel
Get
longer.
lice, full of lice.
You weren't here last week, but last week I had a little rat tail growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little rat tail. Should have seen that sucker.
So that's pretty cool. Like,
Rat tail gave its own opinion on the book.
what's stopping you from starting that? Like, it's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah,
I mean, it's I'm always
I've tried to help a lot of homeless people.
The problem is
Like-
the homeless that we see are the same ones we've been seeing for the past 15 years.
I've invited them out to lunch, and then, you know, I've called to confirm, and then yeah, I'll be there, and then I show up. They don't show up.
Where do you call? They have cell phones?
They're
Oh.
la mission,
Okay.
so yeah, it just doesn't work. I've offered help to a few of them to give them like small jobs. They didn't want it.
Yeah.
Our buddy there.
There's a reason why they are in the position that they're currently in, right? There's either like a mental instability, or
But I think they're getting validation, or they're getting enabled by their fellow street people.
yeah.
Fuck, who am I to judge? I don't know.
I know
That's
it's
what-
hard, man. But
But
it's
it's the same ones. Like
That's what I
since
think
we've
from-
been going out downtown. It's the same people.
From the outside looking in, that's the way I see it. Is like they're just sort of
Yeah.
all enabling each other. It's like when I started in real estate, I was making like, I don't know, $60,000-$70,000 a year. And then I started hanging out with successful agents.
Yeah.
And like they were making
A lot
larger numbers.
Yes.
And I was like, fuck, well, I got to do that too.
Yeah.
I got to level up.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like your surrounding. And we've heard this saying a million times.
Your environment is
you're-
huge. The environment that you're in is absolutely has a strong impact on
Has
how
a
you
stickiness
act.
factor.
It does.
It tips you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I like to hang out with a tipsy crowd.
You're the tipsy crowd.
Tipsy crowd, eh? Yeah.
So do you guys want to give your opinion on this book and finish off with maybe our next book?
What have we decided on the next book? You guys said you had one.
Let's give our rating.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Is anyone watching? Maybe we can
we had
ask which-
3 viewers today,
Cool.
and nobody commented. But last week we had 1. This week we had 3.
Cool.
So j'espère que la tendance va se maintenir. Okay, Chris, how are you rating this book?
I think because it's the summertime and we're so busy with work, I didn't dive in too deep into it as much as the last one, Shoe Dog. I still enjoyed this book a whole lot. It's really good. I would recommend it. And the person who recommended this book had somewhat of a tipping point in his career. A musician who his career just took off after more than 20 years of performing. So I will give this book a 4.4. 4.4. I like the sound of that. I highly recommend this book. Just a lot of repetition from what we've been reading.
4.4 bacons.
Yeah, 4.4 bacons.
That's good. What about you, Rami?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
A 4?
Yeah. I think it's a great book, but I think with the whole, I think a lot of, the tipping point. I think a lot of it has to do with some luck too. Like if the right person starts promoting your product,
Yeah.
And you have to find that right person. Like it's so much harder to do, unless you are somebody that knows everybody. So what I've learned from this book is, as long as you're really connected with a lot of people, your word will travel faster.
True.
Are you gonna start wearing hush puppies?
Probably not. I don't like
No.
hush puppies
No.
much, yeah. Not even airwalks, whatever you call them.
No, I think we should bring back airwalks. I think that's
I'm down with
deserves a
that.
shot. Plus they're cheap. So.
Airwalks are the ones with the wheels on the bottom, right?
No, those are Heelys.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. No, Airwalks were nice shoes actually. It's just started downgrading their brand and price.
Yeah.
It's like I asked Rahel, do you remember Airwalks? Yeah, pay less. Oh, when I was a kid, you could buy those at any sports store, right?
Right.
Cool. Le Martin.
I'm gonna rate it a 4 out of 5. I'm gonna copycat Rami here. It's got some good points. It made me think a lot. The insights on it, where I thought he was lacking, was identifying the exact moment a tip happened. I found that a lot of times the examples he gave, it was like vague and sort of hints that there's a lot of luck that goes into these.
Right. Yeah.
But there was a segment in there he was talking about you need to influence the right people to influence their crowd, and it gave me a really good idea for business. And if I can share it, is we're always looking and we're always asking people to send us referrals, but I was thinking maybe I should go after the barber community and offer people a year of free haircuts if their clients refer a friend to us, or if themselves they buy or sell through us, and that might be able to get us more referrals in.
Yeah.
So
Would you tip that barber on top of the free haircuts?
Yeah, I'm sure it would. Yeah.
$20 a haircut.
You'd have to.
What if somebody has $20 a haircut? That's one haircut a week,
I figured
Or
one
is it-
haircut every 3 weeks.
or one haircut every 3 months.
So how much do you pay for your haircut?
It's usually $38
Yeah.
plus $12 tip.
Yeah.
Round it up to 50.
I started tipping my barber like I was going at a restaurant, and the service I get is amazing. There's like every time I want an appointment, she'll push people for me.
Yeah, 100%. You have to do that. Your barber is your most important asset. Like I treat my barbers like gold, man.
Really?
Get them wine bottles sometimes for like whatever.
Yeah.
I know when their birthday is. It's because they make you look good. I get a haircut every 7 to 10 days.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
I invest a lot in my haircuts.
Because you were saying your hair is getting long now.
My hair, right now, this is the worst. I've had it for a very long time.
Really?
And it's because I just
Travel.
didn't have the time.
Looks like a fresh haircut to me.
I actually looked for a barber, and I was asking people around for a good barber in Ireland.
And
We just never got around to it.
They're all drunk.
Yeah.
we're all smashed in the bar.
Cool. What's the next book?
What is the next book?
Do you guys want to read that pirate book?
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay, so the next book is called...
I'll buy it online this time. My $20 gift card.
The book is called... Hold on, let me find it. Sorry, guys. And this book was recommended to me by a wonderful lady that I met in the plane on my way from Ireland. The book is called Be More Pirate. Abaroquai, Jamal Edward. It's called Be More Pirate by Sam Conniff Allende. So that's, here it is right here.
Oh. Allende.
Let me see.
We're going to learn a lot about pirates.
Let's do it.
I know nothing about pirates.
Then we'll all get a
A
full
nice pink book.
sleeve tattoo with a pirate boat.
If I like pirates because if you want something, just go and freaking get it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
As a wise man.
Just take it. Go and take it.
Go and take it. Arr.
Cool. Well, that is it for us today. We will see you all next week.
Siante.
Arwayeux.